did you start to turn the corner and maybe give Chris Greer the benefit of the doubt when the Dolphins were beating all of these schmink teams? If you looked at the list of quarterbacks that they defeated during that stretch, it was all backups.
Yes.
It was guys that hadn't even made the practice squad in the preseason that got re-signed.
Yep.
I think even some of these guys might have played for the Heat. Nick Wallenda, unbelievable. What was his latest that he was like walking across two buildings in New York City, which would be much more dangerous if you were on the ground, if you look at what's going on in New York City, would it not? Would you rather be on a tightrope crossing, say, Madison Avenue? Of course, no matter how treacherous, no matter how windy. It still is one of my visions that I will never be able to erase when Osteen was making out with Nick Wallenda's wife while he was saying, "Pray for me, Joel." And he's sitting on the side of the canyon there going, "I don't think you're going to make it back, Nick. You know, the Lord has chosen a path for you, and it's not necessarily a favorable one right now in terms of crossing the canyon."
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a beautiful Wednesday, just to be alive. Great to be with you here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. The Defo Show just getting underway. Later on today, it's always a pleasure on these Wednesdays, a regular staple of the program, right around 8 o'clock Eastern Time. If you're tuned into the live audio and video stream, we'll have Tony Segreto, the great Tony Segreto, with us, no doubt, with some thoughts on the Dolphins coaching change and other coaching changes around the league. Joe Judge did get the axe, Lubie.
He did, yes, sir.
In New York, he got a one-day reprieve, that late call from the governor. It looked like the Carol Chessman movie, right? Whitey, get him out of there. How many times did they lead that guy into the gas chamber? That, I believe, is a true story, the Carol Chessman story, where they led this guy into the gas chamber. It was always on during Rain Out Theater. You were too young.
Yes.
I guess every generation says this, wow, you should have been around in the good old days.
Yes, everyone does.
My parents said that. They thought we were crazy, running around at Woodstock smoking dope and crying for peace and love for all mankind. Boy, that went out the window, didn't it? I know that was 50 years ago, but you don't see any of those theories and philosophies being applied too regularly today, do you?
No.
Now a guy reaches in for that last thing of cream cheese and bubbles, and the next thing you know, you're throwing punches. It looks like Duran Leonard in Montreal. And usually it is involving some guy from Montreal. Is that not? I mean, this is probably, meaningless to many people around the country, but here in South Florida, where we originate the program from, one of the scariest things that you could ever see are those blue and white license plates in front of you and or anywhere near you. And that is emblematic of the fact that the person in the car in front of you is from Montreal. Hey, Frenchie, want to get out of my way? Anyway, good to be with you. Tony will be joining us with Old School with Tony Segreto. Of course, Tony, an iconic broadcaster, known around the world also because he did great work on the George Michael or George Michaels? I believe it was Michael. As in the singer, but this was a sportscaster who was one of the original guys to do a Sunday night highlight show. This is Jack Namer's prize idea. I don't know why we haven't gotten around to this yet, Lubie. Have you heard anything about the highlight show?
Not yet.
It was a stroke of genius to do some kind of funny offbeat Sunday night highlight show, which was where Tony really got his international claim to fame because he would fill in for this guy, George Michael, and he was actually better than Michael at it, although he'd be too humble to say that, but nonetheless, he was a very popular entity on a national network show. Came on 11:30 after the news, and if you're a sports fan, you can't get enough sports, and there wasn't as much of it available back then. You didn't have ESPN or all of these now 24-hour networks. I finally got the ACC network as we changed cable systems from the lame system that was offered for free by the homeowners. Well, not free, but it's part of a very hefty Homeowners Association fee here at the Ocean Bay Club, where I'm now living across the street. If you want to bombard the house with leaflets or something, right across from the Sea Watch restaurant, Lauderdale by the Sea. We don't want to, they didn't want A-Rod to have that apartment that he was buying for $10 million at Central Park West, because they didn't want to attract celebrities. And I'm sure the people here at the Ocean Bay Club would not appreciate a bunch of angry fans showing up here and protesting the fact that we were on the air and originating a broadcast from these grounds. But nonetheless, Always great to have Tony on the program, and he'll be joining us later on. Well known around the world, and a lot of things to talk about, including Joe Judge got lunched out by the New York Giants. That one day reprieve, and you didn't have rain out theater when you were a kid, did you, Lubie?
We had stuff like when there was rain delays, but I don't know if it's called rain out theater.
Rain out theater, and they would play like some lame movie that you'd seen already 100 times.
Yep.
And you'd watch it because we were so anxious to watch more baseball that you couldn't believe it was raining. It's like, oh they're going to restart the game. It wouldn't matter. Like you could watch like 5 movies and you'd still be sitting there, schmank that you were, thinking, okay, pretty soon I'll get the Yankees back on there against the White Sox today. I think it was 2-1 in the 5th inning. But nonetheless, we saw the Carol Chessman story many, many times, and they put this poor slob in a gas chamber. I don't know if he was guilty of the crime or not. 8 times, and they pulled him out at the last second, a last-second call from the governor. One of my favorite situations, right, where at the last minute you get a reprieve. And like all of those criminals that were associated with Trump. I mean, last second. Let's not go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's too early on a Wednesday, and we're just getting into the show. And there's so many things on the table. But, it was like a reprieve for Joe Judge. He got 1 day to plead his case to the owners. The Maras, I guess, are still responsible. I'm not sure which Mara is in charge right now, but one of the descendants of Wellington Mara.
That's John Mara, his
distant, descendant of Wellington Mara. Hey, it's like the 4th generation. John Mara, is that the guy? I believe it is John Mara.
Yes. John Mara, yes.
All right, so he seems like a reasonably decent human being. I mean, it's not like there's evil at the core of the Giants organization. There's another family involved, the Tishes. I'm not sure where they come from, but they seem to be in accord in how they're running the team. But they've been running it into the ground for the last many years. And, it's not something that the New York people like to live with. They'll stay fans, but, they certainly are up in arms and very rebellious right now about the status of the Giants. The Jets are more or less expected to stink. So I don't know. Jet fans are more resigned to the idea that we're never going to be any good than Giant fans are. Giants have a certain kind of regal nature to them, or at least they think so, because the Giant fans are all Yankee fans, and they have a sense of entitlement, do they not? And,
they won a lot. They've won a lot, and they've won. And that was the thing. It was always, whenever people talked about standards of organizations because of their consistency and continuity of winning, it was always the Steelers and the Giants. They always talked about the Steelers and the Giants.
Well, the Steelers have it all over the Giants at this point because they've stuck with their general plan, which is let's not change coaches just because we lost a ball game.
Exactly.
And so they've had 3 head coaches in like the last 50 years. Chuck Noll was there forever. Of course, Bill Cowher had a long run there. How long was Cowher the coach here? 12 years, something like that? And Mike Tomlin's been there a long, long time and remains, here's the Rooney Rule. Speaking of Pittsburgh, I mean, once again, rearing its ugly head. Because have you noticed one thing that's very strange about your man, Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs, who can't seem to get a head coaching job, and everybody points to the Rooney Rule, and he's become the modern-day Gene Upshaw, has he not?
Yes,
Eric
they
Bieniemy?
and never offer him or consider him. It's friggin' weird.
Rooney Rule considerations, and I think we were onto this a long time ago, long before anybody even thought about it, but we were professing the idea that it's not something that was ever going to work because ultimately these old stodgy guys that own NFL teams go back to their old habits, which is let's hire an aging white guy who's already failed at 3 other jobs.
Yep.
And, and I don't know. See, I'm an advocate for equality 100%. I'm all in on equality. I don't think anybody should lose an opportunity because of skin pigmentation or anything of that nature, ethnic origin. Believe me, I don't buy into any of that. But at the same time, I don't know that you can just force a situation. That's a very difficult thing to do. Now, a push comes to shove, as they say. Eventually, you have to do something to institute and arrange and maybe infuse some kind of change. But the Rooney Rule certainly didn't do that and has failed to accomplish any of its ideals, which, who was it, Jim Rooney we had on the show?
Yeah, we had one of the Roonies.
Yeah, it was Jim Rooney, wrote a book. Very nice gentleman. Very sincere. And he talked about it. And, he said, well, we're making adjustments. We're doing this. We're doing that. But I don't think you can throw like a 3rd-round pick at some old school NFL owner and say, okay, I'll give you this 3rd-round pick if you hire a black guy. It doesn't work that way. And right now, 2 minority, I don't count Ron Rivera in that mix, do you?
I mean, his name's Rivera. I know he's of Hispanic background, so I guess we.
I mean, that's really a weak entry
It's just
because
sad
we're
that we
talking
have to,
black and white here, essentially, are we not?
Well, it's because African Americans comprise like 70 to 80% of the sport, 65%.
You have the occasional white Smurf slot receiver that does well,
and offensive linemen,
and you have offensive linemen, and that's it.
And quarterbacks. You still have a decent amount of quarterbacks that are white guys.
Quarterbacks, yeah.
And everyone else is a black guy. Black guys are like, there's like 2 coaches. Is there 2?
Two now, yeah. That's it. And one is like on thin ice, right? Isn't Scully the guy's name? That is with the Houston Texans. And
Cully's probably gone.
Cully. Yeah,
so he's probably, if he makes it, it's only because they don't know what else to do in Houston. It's a disaster there. So he probably is gone.
Pretty hard to judge the guy on his first year when Deshaun Watson sits out the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, they did what they did to Flores the first year, and Houston was actually game. Houston actually was very competitive for a team that should have been a total disaster.
Yeah, there's a lot more in this Flores story, and you never know what to believe because you're thinking, all right, how does anybody really know? Outside of Chris Greer, who isn't saying anything, or Stephen Ross kind of intimated that Brian Flores, I mean, to put it mildly, became kind of a power freak asshole.
Yes.
And that was the thing that alienated the organization from the idea that he should continue as their head coach. And that story has now come out from a variety of different sources that the guy became just a power control freak. And that the more that they gave into what Flores' demands were in terms of how the organization was going to be run, the more he wanted. And the more indifferent he became to virtually everybody else. And that was interesting yesterday on the program. Because Brett Tester kind of intimated that Brian Flores was probably more responsible for the roster than Chris Greer.
Well, and that's the thing that's interesting is for people who want to say, well, he did a lot with what he had, but if he was involved, highly responsible for what he
picked those clowns, yeah.
Exactly. Then like the Bill O'Brien thing, like, fine, he could be a good coach, but if he's a bad personnel guy and won't allow himself to not be a personnel guy, then you sort of can't deal with him. My question is, why is Greer keep giving the GM title and never involved in the play? Like, supposedly with Tannenbaum, that was the thing that saved him, was he really wasn't involved with the players. Now at Florida, he's really not involved with the players. So then what does he do? I don't know what his role is.
I mean, it's a lot of dead weight in the front office, it seems like. And that, I believe, has been a Dolphins problem organizationally for some time now, especially under Stephen Ross, who, you said he surrounds himself with yes men. Which may well be the case. It seems like the image I will always have of Stephen Ross is they cut to the shot of him in the executive suite, and he's got this long face on, and then he's got any number of people coming over to him going, "Don't worry, Steve, it's going to be okay."
Tannenbaum's there eating a hot dog. It's okay, bud.
Now he's got like Marino, Nat Moore. I mean, good people, but nonetheless, it's not like they're coming up with any definitive answers. And you would have to say that even after making an ascent from being a horrible team, they were the worst team in football 2.5 years ago. The absolute rock bottom worst team in football, and they were hell-bent on sabotage, thinking that, well, we're going to go ahead and get all of this draft capital and cap money, and we're going to be good in a short period of time. Yep. Now, I don't know. I mean, they don't strike you as being any juggernaut or powerhouse, even though they won the 7 games in a row. They pretty much did it against lousy competition, and they were life and death to do that. But winning in the National Football League obviously is very difficult, just ask the Indianapolis Colts, who blew a gasket in the final game of the regular season to a 2-win Jacksonville team. And guess what? Their whole season, which was documented and well portrayed there on Hard Knocks, with the in-season Hard Knocks, that was a very interesting edition of Hard Knocks. A lot more interesting, I think, than even what they do in the preseason, which has a lot of things that are staged. Okay, we want all you media guys to act like you're really interested in what the coach is saying. Remember that? Were you out there with me that day that HBO was doing a thing?
Oh, I didn't know you. Oh, you were there for a hard. No, I wasn't there. I didn't realize that they did that. That's funny.
Yeah, they set up like a big radio row, and I'm pretty sure you were with me. I don't know. It might have been before that.
I don't remember. No,
the Dolphins. It was the first year of Joe Philbin's regime there that the Dolphins were on Hard Knocks. Remember how funny that whole thing was? I mean, the depiction really did show you what a mess the Dolphin organization was at the time, where Jeff Ireland comes into the room and tells Joe Philbin he just traded, who was the cornerback that was calling for his grandmother?
Vontae
Davis, right. It turned out to be a decent player. I mean, he had a couple of good years. Where did he end up? Indianapolis, I believe.
The Colts, he was good, and then he retired early because he was like, this is ridiculous. I'm sick of this, and I just want to go enjoy my life.
Strange cat, all right. Maybe mentally he wasn't all in, and it's possible. And maybe the Dolphins detected that and decided to part ways. But I remember you had Ireland come into a meeting with Joe Philbin, and he said, we just traded Vontae Davis for like a second-round pick. And Joe's like, oh, yeah? Totally blindsided by the idea that his GM had just gotten rid of his starting cornerback, and picked up a draft pick in exchange, which, it's hard to go out there and defend anybody with a draft pick. And it may be good to have it hanging in a balance, but you saw organizational dysfunction
Yes.
with this team for a long time.
And crap, the Tannenbaum crap. Like, there's been stuff that we used to joke around with the too many cooks in the kitchen for years.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a week. It was a long time we did that.
A lot of dead weight in the front office is not good. So if Chris Greer is, in essence, dead weight, where he's not involved in any kind of personnel decision-making, what else do you really need a general manager for? I mean, you have a team president that, doesn't get involved. We were talking with Jason Cole yesterday on our Believe podcast, and your team president is a business guy, which is fine.
Yep.
But, he's sort of in there as a non-entity when it comes to player personnel. And then you're going to tell me your general manager doesn't really have much to do with that either, even though he came from a scouting background. And supposedly was going to be the guy that was going to fix everything, right? Got rid of Tannenbaum, gave the ball to the guy that was actually the effective one in picking players. And it turns out he has nothing to do with it. Well, therein lies your problem. And that's why your team will tread water in mediocrity for a long, long time, unless they just happen to get really lucky, which luck has not been necessarily the key for this Dolphin organization, because whenever there was an opportunity to blow a situation,
They do.
they've managed to do it.
Tua was the can't miss, and then they end up not getting Herbert, so they get Tua. They don't give Tua any help, so Tua now looks like a total bust, and they totally ruined the kid's confidence. The offensive line, they put draft picks and free agents and trades into, and the offensive line was statistically the worst in the NFL. Like, it's unbelievable. It's crazy how hard they've tried to get better in certain areas and gotten worse somehow.
Well, and apparently Flores was the guy that was calling the shots.
Yes.
At least according to all of the stories that have surfaced in the last couple of days, which where was all this before, though?
That's what's.
I mean, where was all of this idea that Flores had the final say on everything and was telling Chris Greer just to keep his mouth shut and do what he told him to do, and essentially was given full authority to run the franchise, and then didn't want to talk to anybody about what was going on, and had made, obviously, if he was in charge of all of these personnel decisions, he had made himself not only sabotaging but critical mistakes.
Yes.
Including the call of Tua over Herbert, which, he wasn't alone in that. A lot of people thought that Tua was going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. Many people thought, that the flaws that he had, the inherent and apparent flaws that he had as an NFL prototype, would probably come back to haunt him. And you would have to say that, for the most part, that's true. We did not know he couldn't throw the ball long, though. And that's an essential. You have to be able to stretch defenses. I'm going to sound like Mr. Cliche here, but you have to be able to at least open things up a little bit and have the threat there that you might chuck the rock down the field. Look what happened in that Georgia game, right?
Yes. Even Bennett was able to get down the field, and it changed things.
Changed everything. Those two passes. Well, sensational catches on both. And the passes were on the money, but great plays by the wide receivers. And guess what? Georgia's national champions, and Alabama never really tested them down the field. And they're sitting there trying to, appease Nick Saban that, yes, Nick, we know you had injuries. Nick Saban complaining about injuries in a loss of a ball game is as pathetic an excuse as I've ever seen in my life. I mean, if Bryce Young goes down and he's got a walk-on freshman coming in, a quarterback that, didn't even start on his high school team, okay, then you might be able to pinpoint an injury in that game. But when you have a stockpile of blue-chip recruits, that their only consideration when they come in as freshmen is when do I enter the transfer portal, because I'll never play behind this guy if he doesn't go to the pros right away. Do you still have to be in the college ranks for 3 years, or is it 2 years before you go to the pros?
3 years removed from high school to the pros. It can be a year in JUCO. It could be a year off. It could be, and then 2 years. It's just between your last game in high school and the NFL. It has to be 3 years separation.
Yeah, I don't have much sympathy for Nick that he had to go to backups at a couple of key positions in that game. I mean, it may be why they lost, but the same reason. It's pretty tough to use that as an actual excuse and start bemoaning the fact that your team was so compromised. Come on, Nick. You got to be kidding me. I mean, they were kind of lucky this year to even be in that spot, were they not? Wasn't their best team. Most people would say
Yeah, they
that.
should have lost to Auburn. They should have
Yeah.
lost like 3 games this year. Like,
They should have, they beat them, but it wasn't their best team. They weren't the dominant Alabama team that we've seen win national championships in the past, and yet they still got there, showing you the separation between the so-called haves and have-nots. I'm sure Tony will get into that. Right. So they're looking for a coach in New York. They're looking for a coach here in the National Football League, and there's 7 jobs open right now. I would imagine this Bisaccia has that Raiders job locked up.
Said he's keeping it. Yeah, I mean, he's done an amazing job. He's done what you want an interim coach to do. Like, he's earned that job. The guys play for him, and he makes smart, sound decisions. He's not an idiot. He doesn't do too much or too little. He's keeping it. They've already said he's going to be retained.
2 things are amazing about interim coaches. Number one, no matter how good of a job they do, they usually don't get the job.
True.
And that's number one. And number 2, if they do get the job, they usually bomb out in the subsequent year.
Yes. 100%. That was Clay Helton.
It's crazy, right? and you're thinking, why would you look for anybody else? The players love this guy. It happened with Dan Campbell, right?
Yes.
When he was coaching here, the players loved him. He had that hardcore attitude, and it was kind of surprising, I guess, that he got another head coaching job. And I don't know, can you possibly say that a team that won like 3 ball games had a coach that did a good job with the Detroit Lions?
I don't know.
Because he's very popular, Dan Campbell. And the one thing that everybody said throughout the year was, do you watch these guys play? They may not be very good, but they play their eyeballs out.
Play hard.
And that was a characteristic that a lot of people felt was true of Brian Flores' coach teams. But if all this is true that is being circulated right now, I would imagine that would compromise his chances of getting another job, which apparently he's very much in the mix. And that was the thing that's weird. I mean, you look at the candidates for the head coaching jobs that are available. So let's say there are 6. Let's say Bisaccia has the Raiders job locked up.
Yeah. That's what
I don't know. I mean, is there speculation that anybody else is going to get canned? I think the coaches that were going to get fired have already been dismissed.
Cully from Houston is the only one, but if he's still there, I mean, we're 2 days, 3 days in. Like, they usually don't fire guys a week after. It's usually right now, or they just hang with them.
Was he that hopeless that... I mean, it's impossible to tell. Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to tell with this guy. How do you rate him on this season when, they had so much turmoil there, the Houston Texans, including, I mean, this was a season-long dark cloud hovering over the organization, the whole Deshaun Watson situation, which was all anybody wanted to talk about for half a year. And do you notice this? There's zero talk about Deshaun Watson.
Oh, yeah.
Anymore. I mean, is anybody looking to acquire this guy? Is he ever going to play again? We don't know. That would have been the thing with the Miami Dolphins. They would have acquired Deshaun Watson, and then he would have retired.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And they would have given away all those draft picks for a non-entity. That's the kind of move that the organization, unfortunately, has been very, very guilty of. So, but the candidates are all the same, right? For all teams. And what I'm not seeing is your man, Eric Bieniemy, who, getting back to this whole thing with the Rooney Rule, it was the guy that we always joked about this. A team to satisfy their obligations to the Rooney Rule would go to the grave of Gene Upshaw and go, hey, Gene, you interested in a job? It would be like, what you would figure. No response, right? And sure enough, they would then go and check that off. There you go. Interviewed a black guy. For the job, and then they go ahead and hire some stodgy old white guy who, played defensive line, in the 60s and was still around looking to coach at like 80 years old. The guy with the stubble and short guy with the baseball cap on, real hardcore. And you're thinking, where's the progressive thinking in the National Football League? But I don't know if you can force this situation. We've talked about it with many, many people over the years. And I'm sure all of you fans out there have had these discussions. Well, what do they do, man? You got 2 black head coaches. How ridiculous is that? But you can't tell an owner, okay, listen, you have to hire a black guy.
That's my only problem is
if you think somebody else is a good coach, I mean, how can you tell somebody you have to do this?
I want equality, but again, I also want franchises to be able to hire the best person for their organization. So it's a tough game because they put a rule in that was supposed to help. Look, if you're interviewing African Americans, you're bound to hire them. Well,
not necessarily, yeah.
So I don't know how you fix it because you have to hire him. Okay, how do you do that?
You can't make somebody do it. I mean, it's very subjective area of judgment anyway. Who's going to be a good head coach in the National Football League or on the college level for that matter? Now, I mean, obviously, if you're interviewing black candidates, there is a chance that you say, "Wow, that guy's great," right? I mean, did the Pittsburgh Steelers realize what they were doing when they hired Mike Tomlin, or were they kind of thinking, "Well, geez, if we don't do this, nobody's going to do it"?
I think he interviewed well. My problem is you're telling me other African American candidates aren't. He was the only one that interviewed well. Like, I don't get Eric Bieniemy is that's what everyone assumes, that he's a bad interview. How can he be a bad interview? He's been around the game his whole life. He knows the game. What does that mean? A bad interview? Like, what are you asking in these interviews that's so hard for Eric Bieniemy to figure out?
Well, whatever he did with the Kansas City offense up until maybe this year, which any team could have an off season or whatever. Mahomes hasn't been as effective as he's been in the past. You've had various injuries. People have been in and out of their lineup that are key personnel. But what would you need to hear from this guy in an interview? All you would have to do is look at like a juggernaut offense that you couldn't wait to turn on your television set if the Chiefs were playing the last couple of years, even if you hated barbecue. Right? I mean, even if you hated everything about Kansas City. They were just entertaining, and probably had the most prolific offense that we've seen in a long, long time. And this guy was responsible for it. Unless it was all Andy Reid. Is Bieniemy just a figurehead over there? I don't imagine that's the case. At least that's not kind of the understanding that emanates out of KC.
Andy Reid and Mahomes give him a ton of credit. Like, it doesn't feel like it's Philbin. It feels like when you watch him, that was the funny thing about Philbin. Like, you'd watch Packers, and he was like in space because he's Joe Philbin. Eric Bieniemy is highly involved, and when you watch their games, he is involved in a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, all these other offensive coordinators get jobs from Tree. Doug Peterson got a gig, and he wasn't calling plays, and it worked out okay. So, like, I don't. There's a weird thing with Bieniemy, and I don't get it.
You would have figured by now that somebody, I mean, especially with coaches cycling a turnover, in job every 2 years now. The Giants have had their last 3 head coaches, I think, have all lasted 2 years.
Well, and look at the guys they hired. Joe Judge was like a special teams guy that no one had ever heard of. Vic Fangio was like 94. Like, all these guys are hiring. All right, you're telling me they're impressed. Philbin got a job. You're telling me Philbin is more impressive than Eric Bieniemy. Like, come on, like.
Yeah, I don't know. He seems to be the guy, unfortunately, that everybody says, well, if this guy can't get a job, well, what the hell is the status of things? But we'll see. I mean, it's the same guys. Dayball, is in play with like every team now.
Yep.
People are infatuated with what he did as the offensive coordinator in Buffalo with Josh Allen, who you didn't think was going to be very good, and now is like considered a stud quarterback of
a lot of that's stable, which look, that's good. That's an interesting candidate. I mean. I guess we'll
Josh
see.
McDaniels looks like is he going to wait out Belichick?
He should at this freaking point.
There was a guy in horse racing that I used to interview quite a bit because he was a very prominent Florida breeder named Fred Hooper. I don't know if you're familiar with this name.
From you've talked about him.
Fred Hooper, yeah. I mean, this is almost like a myth of the Sisyphus type of syndrome when you're waiting for somebody to die and or, bail out of whatever it is that they're doing. I mean, obviously Belichick is in good enough health. You're not expecting him to check out.
Yeah.
But, when does he lose interest in coaching? I don't know.
I don't guess never.
It's not looking good for McDaniels. Or McDaniel, does he wait out Belichick? And the reason I brought up Fred Hooper is because Fred Hooper was like, I don't know, he's one of those guys that seemed like he was 90, like for the 30 years that I knew the guy. Okay.
He was 15. He looked like he was 90.
He was a prominent Florida breeder. He had a horse called Needles that won like the Kentucky Derby after winning the Florida Derby in like the 50s. That's how long the guy was around.
Wow.
Okay. Might have been the 50s. Might have been a little bit later. But nonetheless, I mean, he was perennially and eternally old and seemed to be just about on his deathbed, right? So he marries this hot, at the time, known as stewardess named Wanda, all right? And she's got to be 50 years his junior.
Good friend.
And everybody's looking, going, man, look at this old geezer, man, with this hot babe. And you're thinking, well, Wanda probably got into that thinking that this guy's going to keel over any minute now. And as Tom Boo used to say, I come to this country, I have nothing. Now I'm a millionaire. That's how he said it. I mean, I don't need to hear from anybody like some Asian, equality organization here. We're making no fun of anybody. That's what he said on the commercial. I come to this country, I have nothing. Now I'm millionaire.
Yes.
So Juan is probably thinking that. I mean, that was a speculation anyway, right? I mean, how much could she have gotten out of this old geezer? Companionship? What are you doing? You're feeding the guy
She don't want that.
chicken soup with a spoon once a day, hoping he doesn't, destroy his underwear before he gets to the bathroom. Got this beautiful horse farm, tons of cash, and the guy lived like another 30 years.
Oh, that's great. Good for him.
To this day, Wanda probably is penniless. I don't know. Now, I don't know if that was her ambition. I'm implying that. But, I mean, you get the idea, right? Sometimes it doesn't pay to think that something is imminent and it's not happening. So with McDaniel, you would have to think that at some point, does he think Belichick's never going to quit? He must know.
So Andy Man just said Hooper lived, and I just posted it up here for everyone to see. He lived till he was 103. So he literally, as Andy says,
Wanda was like 30 when he was
for
70.
a long time.
Yeah. Now that I'm 70, I don't consider it being that old.
You're young. That's the funny thing. But you look young. Like you're telling me this guy looked like he was Burgess.
No, he looked like he was knocking on devil's door for a long time. Very, very nice man. One of the few gentlemen, that I had met at the time in that game that was completely sincere and true to his word. Because you'll find this funny, but even back in the day, and this is like 40 years ago, my buddy Mike and I, we had to make our living by soliciting advertising dollars from people that owned horse farms. And owners that had big businesses. I mean, obviously, these guys have big money if they're dabbling in horse racing. You don't see a lot of poor people owning horses.
No, it's expensive as hell just to buy one horse and not install them.
I mean, just to keep a horse on the grounds there is going to cost you more than you're paying in rent and health insurance and all that. So you don't see the average Joe with a lot of interest in horse racing. Maybe now you do because you can buy into these syndicates and buy like for a very small amount of money. Like I had 10% of two losing horses there for a while. I think there was a third one involved also. I was able to write that off on my taxes, which was always one of the advantages that people spoke of. Hey, you can lose all your money, you rich guys, and then just write it off. I'm not sure they're as generous, the Internal Revenue Service, with these kind of considerations as they used to be in the past. But, just absolutely gobs of money this guy had. And Wanda was sitting on the chance to maybe cash in, ended up, waiting it out, as Andy said, till the guy was 103.
That's amazing. I love that.
So how long do you wait is the question. I mean, applying this to our sporting conversation here, if you're in behind Belichick.
That's phenomenal.
You have to think McDaniel. The Dolphins, genuinely need somebody that can kick up this offense, Emeril Lagasse style. Just
that's my problem. Like they've interviewed or asked to interview 5 guys. Dable works. Peterson is another guy and I think that's a nice fit. I don't know what happened in Philly, but he was really good with that offense, and he's RPO guy.
Hey, he won a Super Bowl. Give him credit.
Dable worked with Tua at Alabama. When he got to the Bills, they were a defensive team, and now they're known as an offensive team. But then the other two, Vance Joseph, a defensive guy, and Dan Quinn, you don't need if you were going to do a defensive.
Dan Quinn is not a very exciting choice after his tenure in Atlanta.
You need a guy that's going to do what you've wanted the entire time we've done a show. Be fun. Yeah. Be different. Open it up. Do some different shit.
All right, so. I mean, at one time, we felt that we were a stepping stone for success to a lot of people that came on the show. And and also, but I mean, there have also been concerns that, people who come on the program here as guests, we can also be tantamount to a kiss of death. Now, in the case of Tom Rinaldi, I don't know, we didn't really discover Rinaldi, but he was kind of an obscure background player at ESPN when we started interviewing him many years ago. Now, we haven't had him on that frequently because the guy...
He's a busy dude.
I mean, he's doing everything. He produced and directed, and I think he starred as John Madden in that Madden documentary.
I think that was a big part of why he went to Fox, because he's doing a lot more stuff, and he was already doing a lot.
Seemed like they shuffled him into the background there. I mean, he's in relative obscurity. The coach comes out, and he asks those 2 ridiculously cliche, flawed questions when they come out at halftime. Hey, coach, what are you going to do different in the second half? You're down 30. And the coach says, I always wait for these interviews. They're fantastic, right? Where the coach comes out and goes, well, obviously we're going to have to put more points on the board. And I tell you what, we're going to have to commit ourselves to the ground game to get there. Okay. Then, there's not even another follow-up. Oh, thanks. Okay. You answered all of my questions. Nobody mentioned the fact that you absolutely blew every play call in the first half of the game. So you're not getting much out of that. I mean, is it a role that if you were getting paid a lot of money, Lubie, to stand on the sidelines and ask a couple of like obvious questions that you knew the guy is only available for a minute, you're going to get to fire off two. It's not the time to do one of your detailed, in-depth, I'll give you the entire history of the game type of questions.
You have to be quick. You have to be like, all right, coach, what would you do different in the second half? All right, coach, the passing game seems to be working. What are you going to keep doing with that? Like, you can't ask anything. That's why Mr. Mom is so amazing, because she took the little time and would make it important. I don't know how the hell she
Real art form, yeah. No, because she has personality and understands, like, the human psyche. Knows how to get people to react in a way that, with class, though, and dignity. It's not like saying, hey, your team played like shit. You would be awful at this job.
I would be really.
Anyway, Rinaldi, though, he seemed to be shuffled into the background. No, but the point being that he came on his show and then just had a monumental rise, a meteoric rise in the media after he started making appearances on our show. Now, I don't know that it was... I mean, obviously it was pure coincidence, but if anything, we might have held him back a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, we invite Jim Larinaga on the show, coach of the Hurricanes. They'd won 9 in a row. They just beat Duke on the road. Dramatic game that people are, days later, you're still seeing the highlights of that game. You're seeing clips of that game as the intro to virtually every college basketball game that takes place. So... I'll move to the new digs here, and we got the Homeowners Association cable TV comes as part of the package with the exorbitant fees that they ask. Now, they do a nice job on the grounds. The pools are all clean and everything. But, like, 8 sticks is a lot of money for a Homeowners Association fee. That should include your electric, your water bill. I mean, it includes a bunch of stuff, but it also included, like, your cable TV setup.
Wonderful.
So, I mean, I like a lot of channels, and I'm too inept to just find them, by all of these peculiar methods now. Like, what do you have? You have, like, Voodoo TV or something?
We have Hulu, we have Netflix, we have Amazon Prime, we have Disney Plus, and we have something. We have, like, 5 or 6 things. I don't know.
Okay, but you're subscribing to that, or you're pirating that? O.J.
We
Simpson
pay
type
for, I don't, an HBO Max, but that's my parents. But we pay for everything else.
Okay. All right. Well, in this case, the system that they had, and I think it was called Fusion TV or something.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
And with that, you could pay for the premium channels, but you couldn't receive them. What a Ponzi scheme is that? Hey, Bernie, you want to turn off the television set? It's like you're buying TV from Bernie Madoff. I mean, there's nothing there.
You can pay.
You pay for the premium channels, but you didn't receive them. So our buddy Sean Mack told us, hey, no, you got to convert to another cable system, which we did yesterday, although, it's not totally functioning correctly. Guys were wiring on the roof, doing all kinds of crazy things. And yet I fall accidentally upon the ACC network, which I've had 4 or 5 different systems, and I've never had the ACC network. So I tuned in the game last night to see, we're having Jim on the show tomorrow. You'd like to know a little bit about the team, right?
Yep.
He starts naming players, and, you're sitting there going, yeah, he's good. But the truth is, I haven't seen a single second of Canes basketball all year until last night. 9-game winning streak, just beat Duke on the road against what seems to be a little bit of a subpar Leonard Hamilton offering. Hamilton's been great over there at FSU. Even Lubie, you hate Hamilton, but you have to admit he's done a hell of a job, no?
He's done a great job. What's funny is this team was supposed to be his best team, but they're so young, they've struggled. This team has struggled mightily. They haven't.
Well, they didn't look great in last night's game either.
Nope.
But somehow, I mean, they end up at a final second, a foul call, which was legitimate against the Hurricanes, sends one of the FSU players, Evans, was that the guy's name?
Raekwon Evans, yeah.
Yeah, Raekwon Evans to the line, and, he very calmly sinks 2 and beats the Hurricanes with 0.8 of a second to go on the clock. Ends their 9, and this is how we have to welcome Jim Larinaga to the show tomorrow. Kiss of death? Do you think he just calls, has some, this is not Larinaga's style because he's a real gentleman, but you think he picks up the phone today and tells his secretary, hey, call Lubitz?
He'll come on, but he definitely should give us a little crap.
Well, I mean, look, they're in the ball game. They hit a miracle 3 after missing a couple of lay-in attempts.
Yep.
And is it Moore, I believe is the kid's name? He bags a 3 out of the corner, and now with 7 seconds to go, you're up 1 over Florida State.
Yeah.
Should you be, I mean, if the guy converts this 2-point basket at the end of the game, which he was fouled on, Evans, by more, actually, I mean, if he makes that basket, you lose anyway.
Yeah.
So should you be under instructions of under no circumstances, do not foul anybody?
It was weird because there was definitely contact. It wasn't phantom.
It was a foul. Yeah, I mean, there's no question that's a foul.
So what are you supposed to do there? And that's the thing. So do you just stand straight up and let the head guy have the shot? I don't know.
I think you have to let the guy fling like an awkward shot as he's falling out of bounds going to his right.
Yeah, it wasn't a comfortable position.
And if it goes in, you lose, right? If you put him on the stripe, at the worst, you're probably going to be in a tie situation. So, not the smartest thing to do to be that tenacious defensively if you're not going to impact the shot anyway. Because the guy got the shot off, and it wasn't like
he had a clean look. That was what was weird about it.
But it was not going to be an easy basket to convert. So
he was like that.
If it's Larrañaga, he doesn't have a ton of hair, but he had to be ready to tear it out. Very calm on the sidelines, Jim Larrañaga, is he not?
I was gonna say, like, I was watching that foul as an FSU fan, going, "Oh, that was, okay," and I don't know.
No, they looked like they were going to lose that game. They really did. Almost threw out the ball game.
I'll take it. Okay, but that wasn't like a hard foul. And Larrañaga wasn't freaking out. He wasn't.
Yeah.
He was like, okay.
Good for him. I'm going on the Defo show tomorrow, so what do I care? We'll have to get Leonard Hamilton on again. He was very engaging. I mean, one of our better interviews all time, Leonard Hamilton. And, and then he's yelling at you, Lubie, because you never contact him to come on the show. That's unbelievable. I'm telling you, he's giving you crap because, hey, where's the call? Where's the invitation, right? I have to wait for Leslie Visser to put me on your show? You got to be kidding me. All right, we're coming back with more. We're going old school with Tony Segreto. Tony should have a lot to talk about on the program today. I know he was all into that. Did he ever say which way he was going on that college football game? I can't remember if he...
It was leaning Georgia. He and I were leaning Georgia, even though we didn't like going against the devil. He thought Georgia would be much more representative. It'd be much more defensive ball game, which fit Georgia's style over Alabama's.
Listen, here's the thing about being a degenerate also. You don't have to beat yourself up if you liked Alabama. And I'm not saying that just because my recommendation to everybody out there who is buried. Fred Weinstein never buried this many people as we did. Not Fred. What is it? Fred Weinstein? No, that's Levitt Weinstein. Fred Hunter. That was the guy.
Fred Hunter.
Fred Hunter.
I don't know what. Yeah.
I'm thinking of famous funeral directors from South Florida here.
Yes, got it.
With the Alzheimer's and everything. Anyway, he couldn't have buried any more people than we did by insisting that you can't bet against the devil and talking about Nick Saban. But, I mean, if you did have Alabama in that ball game, can you really kill yourself and say, oh, my God, how wrong was I? No. Sometimes you lose. I mean, the best of logic sometimes is defeated.
In the first half, they had 3 trips inside the 20, I think. If they get touchdowns, remember, they got 3 field goals. If they get touchdowns on 2 of those 3, they probably win the game. I mean, it was
right. I mean, they didn't, but I mean, they're in the lead late in the ball game, and Alabama had demonstrated that they were, capable of just staving off anything that Georgia had to offer offensively. You thought maybe Georgia comes down on the next possession, gets a field goal, takes a 1-point lead, and you're still with 2.5, feeling like the champion of the world, right? So I don't know. You can't kill yourself if you were wrong about that one. Sometimes you're going to play a horse or whatever at the track, and the horse ends up a non-menacing third. But you look back at the race and you go, okay, there are reasons why this happened, and I wouldn't be afraid to come right back again with the same theory. And I think anytime you see Nick Saban getting points,
you got to take it.
You're smart to take the points, right? You're still you're now 5 out of 7.
Yeah.
Right. 5 out of 7 in that situation with straight up wins in the 5 times that Nick Saban was a victorious person against the point spread when getting points in a ball game. I'm sounding like Mark Lawrence here. When there was a full moon, when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, take the points. All right, we're happy to be with you here on Ion Channel. Always great to be on Ion Channel. Anything associated with Ion Channel, we're big fans of and big advocates of, and happy to be a part of it. Jack Namer, Amy, Brad Schiller, they do a tremendous job for us, streaming audio and video all around the world. Big things on the horizon. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. Don't forget about, talking about big things. Wow.
Oof.
Now, there's a slight chance that I may be out of town on this thing. I'll find out more about that today, but... You know what? My heart will be there if I'm not. And if I'm in town, for sure, the boxing at Hialeah Park. Wow, January 28th.
What a
That's on the
blast.
schedule, and it's going to be great. And I'm telling you, Lubie, I haven't been as close in following boxing as I was at one time, maybe in the past. I still love the sport and
Yeah.
will watch it. And, I love the history and the characters and everything about it. All right. You walk into a gym, you love the smell of the grease.
Yep.
And the sweat and the blood on the walls. And, it's just one of those things, real Damon Runyon type of stuff. So when Hialeah staged their first boxing match, I mean, people were like, what's this going to be? Was sensational. Absolutely great. And there had been boxing at other casino destinations and other sporting arenas here in town. And I don't know that anybody, and I mean this in all sincerity, did a better job of staging an event than Hialeah Park did. And that's what they're all about over there. They really know how to do stuff in style and with style. And would you say that it was very comfortable? I mean, it was not chaos or confusion at the ticket window or with people finding their seats, or there wasn't a tremendous amount of hear people grounds, oh man, these seats suck. None of that at Hialeah Park. They really know how to put on an event of this type. And they've got all these exciting young Cuban boxers. And like I said, I mean, I'm a little more on the periphery of boxing than I used to be. But I have been following some of these stories, and just absolutely fantastic. The rising and just a huge wave of Cuban talent that's in professional boxing right now. And many of these guys, a lot of them going to be featured on the card at Hialeah Park. So if you want to see some really exciting up-and-coming stars and some established stars as well, plus do it under the stars, it's beautiful Hialeah Park, January 28th. It's going to be sensational. You know, Frankie wouldn't have it any other way, our dear friend Frank Fiore.
Best.
And when he's involved, every detail is taken care of. Yes, Mr. Deforrest, those are your seats there, A and B.
It's true.
Right? A guy guides you there. I mean, and then you're sitting amidst royalty. I mean, boxing royalty for sure. Right? I mean, who's sitting like 2 rows away from you? Deontay Wilder, as he's getting set to get involved in a series of brilliant heavyweight title defenses.
Fury was there. They had like a ton of people. Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, you're going to love it. The atmosphere is great. The whole thing is just, it's a great night out and a great night of boxing and a great night of sports activity. And then you have the casino and the poker room and the champion simulcasting room and all the other stuff that's going on. And great food and drink at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, we're coming back with more. Tony's going to join us in just a little bit here. Old School with Tony Segreto. That's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services. Tony, a first-class guy and represented by really, I mean, legitimately first-class organizations. That's one thing I have to say about the people that back this show. I mean, really, really dignified, classy organizations. And, of course, supporting the great Tony Segreto. That's coming up in just a few minutes here on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff Deforrest, along with one Mike Lubitz right here on ION Channel. And we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It says here 6:47, but it's got to be later than that.
It's the Gambling Gourmet for Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale. It's one of my favorite places. It is old school joint that's serving Spanish and classic continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly setting. It's at 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. They're open every day except Sunday for dinner, starting at 5 p.m. You go in there, you see Joey and his better half Sally. They are giving the greatest in service. And the food, oh my gosh, it's paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, stuffed veal chop. They serve this great, fantastic, warm sourdough bread. Go to Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale and tell them that the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse. Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes, because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat, 24/7 Catholic Health Services.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. The world, I mean, if my point was ever going to be embellished and going to be proven true, the world has gotten me sugar now.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
Not that they are not accustomed to this, Mike Lubitz, and welcome back to the show. Good morning again, everybody. Great to be with you here on Ion Channel. Google the Defo Show. Show gathering momentum here as we're about 3 months into this thing, and many, many big things and changes on the horizon here. So stick with us on Ion Channel, and there are going to be a lot of exciting developments. I feel it in my bones, so Mike Lubitz.
I agree, sir.
And I'm glad you've gone to a more intellectual look here.
On purpose.
With the glasses. Are people throwing things at you? Are you using them as more eye protection than anything else? Anyway, good to have you guys with us here on the program. Tony's coming up in just a few minutes here with Old School with Tony Segreto. And I did want to pay tribute and homage to a guy. I would say I didn't know him well, but I knew him well enough back in the day when he was writing for the Sun Sentinel and went on to become a very, very distinguished and accomplished not only golf writer, but golf television. And familiar with a guy named Tim Rosafort, Mike Lubitz. You've seen him on golf coverage. Yes, he was very prominent on the Golf Channel. I believe he was affiliated with NBC's golf package and was a guy who covered like 127 majors and real good. I mean, just an excellent writer he was. I remember when he was doing the job. Think about this, too. I mean, you talk about Old School. All right, so the Sun Sentinel right now, would you imagine that they have a guy who's dedicated exclusively to writing golf on their sports staff, which probably consists of like 4 people at this point?
Yeah, that's crazy.
They had like an illustrious history of golf writers at the Sun Sentinel, including our own gambling gourmet, Mike Mayo, who I believe began his career at the Sun Sentinel, perhaps writing golf. Remember, he said he was covering golf at the Masters for some schmanky paper in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and then his next job was right here in the big time in a metropolitan gold mine here, South Florida, for the Sun Sentinel, which is a prominent newspaper. But they also had a guy named Larry Dorman. Do you remember Larry Dorman? He was writing golf and a very, very, distinguished and accomplished golf writer as well. And then they had Tim Rosafort, who was a golf writer there for years. And he passed away at the age of 66. And I believe he had a long struggle. I mean, we joke around about it, but it's obviously very serious. A long struggle with Alzheimer's. And it was nice to see that he was featured in a tribute, when they began to crawl and they had the lead story on ESPN last night. And, usually it's something about coaching change or this or that, or, sometimes a game that they're trying to promote that is in progress on ESPN4. Upset possibilities. But they led with in that crawl with a tribute to Tim Rosafort, who was a very, as I said, well-respected golf analyst. And he did a great job on the golf telecast that he was on. Made the transition from newspapers to TV seamlessly and unfortunately was afflicted with this disease, I think, for the last couple of years, Mayo told me, and passed away at 66. So a tribute to Tim Rosafort, who we got to know very early on in his career, and then followed him, unfortunately, to what turned out to be I mean, people are checking out at ridiculously early ages, are they not, Lubie?
Yeah, it sucks.
Wow. Enjoy every day, people. Make sure you, try to put a smile on your face at some point in every day. I mean, that's our philosophical lesson because there's no guarantee of tomorrow. No guarantee of tomorrow. All right, we can guarantee you this, that we will have Tony Segreto coming on in a few minutes. Just wanted to touch on a couple of things. Jim Larinaga will be with us tomorrow I believe too that they rematch fairly quickly. I don't know if it's immediate. I think there's a game in between, but FSU is going to be here in town, Louis. You should probably think about attending that game against the Miami Hurricanes and Jim Larinaga, who just had their 9-game winning streak snapped. There was a lot of stuff that went on in college basketball yesterday. USC was undefeated, and they lost their game to Texas Tech in college hoops. We don't delve into a lot of college hoops here on the program, and that's unfortunate because people are now watching all over the world and around the country on the video stream on Ion Channel. And, we were doing like a local radio show here where for many years where naturally you would talk about things that were of interest to the people of South Florida more so than, other more general stuff, but this is not a college basketball area at all. In fact, I mean, I'm just as guilty as the rest of you guys. I didn't know what the Hurricanes were doing this year until we started to see
the Duke game.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that, so they pull off like a shocker
Yes.
and win at Cameron Indoor, and we finally remember. We had to be tapped on the shoulder. Hey, you see that? That's your boy, Larinaga.
Oh, we love Larinaga.
Great. I mean, you want to have, and this has always been a theory of mine. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times you have a person on if they're interesting.
Yep.
And, that's a big key. And Larinaga, of all the people that I've interviewed, lifetime, both radio, TV, whatever, newspaper writer, one of the most compelling guys because you could just tell how into it he is. And how in tune he is. And by the way, we've often said this. This is kind of a cliche that's come from the show. Don't sleep on Rick Pitino.
Oh, Iona.
Another big win. 12-3 with Iona, including that big win that he had over, Alabama? What was it that he beat? The top 10 team at the time?
Yes. That's crazy.
So, he brought these freaks in from like Latvia and other foreign entities. And has Iona playing some pretty good basketball. And I think they're also undefeated in their conference play. Rick Pitino. And this is only is this his second year in that situation? And last year
the guy can coach, man. He knows his basketball. Oof, that's nuts.
That's a Dick Vitale thing. The man can flat out coach. And,
everywhere he goes.
Everywhere. Yeah, that's a real mark. Larinaga, by the way, and I can't think of what the other school is. And wow, I feel awful about this. George Mason, was one, but where else did he coach? He became like the 4th or 5th guy in college basketball history, I think, with the win over Duke. It was of even more levels of distinction than we originally thought. Just beating Duke alone on the road is quite an accomplishment. And he's 7-7 lifetime at the University of Miami against Duke, which is pretty good. Going head-to-head with Coach K.
Bowling Green, George Mason.
That was it, Bowling Green, yeah. Okay. That's right, because we asked him about Butch Comives, who was probably the most famous player ever to come out of Bowling Green. And I was very happy to see that Butch made like number 93 on Mike Vaccaro's list of the all-time greatest Knicks.
Nice.
Number 93.
Maybe that 100.
Butch Comives, yeah. I really, this was me with my statistics back in the day, that he was a low percentage field goal shooter for a guard. At the time, I thought 50% was the benchmark of shooting from the field. Now, you didn't have guys chucking up threes where, you look at the stats, the guy's 7 for 17, 1 for 7 from three-point range. That's like a Trae Young number, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, 7 for 17, 1 for 7 from three-point range. And you're thinking, I understand the three-point shot. If you look at basketball scores, Lubie, they got what they wanted out of that by chucking up like 53s per team per game.
Yes, they opened the floor and
it's not. No, the scoring is high. I mean, you look at some of the score totals. I'm not sure. I don't play basketball over unders per se. I mean, I might look at the numbers here and there just to see who got clobbered. And looking at a guy that just ended up losing a substantial sum by half a point. Why is there some kind of evil satisfaction in that? We get joy out of other people's misery. Because at least it wasn't us that was wrong. And we know we're not the only ones. Is that it? Is there some kind of salvation in this? This has become a very religious show, has it not?
Become?
but I mean, you're looking at scores in the NBA. It's like 139, 126. This is regulation.
Yes.
And so they're getting what they want, I guess. But when you look at the field goal shooting percentages in some games, it's an atrocity.
It's a joke.
The reliance on the three-point shot, where teams are literally like 2 for 24 from three-point range. Imagine, I mean, any of these Red Holzman is rolling over in his grave, thinking, "Are you kidding me? You hit 2 of those shots out of your first 15, and you still kept shooting them."
Yeah, exactly.
You got to be kidding me. But 50% was a pretty good benchmark, I thought, back in the day, right? If you were playing in a ball game,
Yeah.
you wanted to at least be making half of your shots.
50%, yeah. At least.
Even if you were an outside shooter, and Comey's was like a 36% shooter, I think, from the field. So, and he had Big Bells Bellamy in there, creating all kinds of traffic problems on the inside, but no 3-point shot back then. But a Bowling Green Giant, and we did ask Larinaga about that. So, yeah, he's won 150 games at 3 different schools, and I think joins, like maybe 4 other guys that hold that record? 150 plus games at 3 different schools. Pretty good. Won 150 at George Mason. Went to a Final Four. Larinaga will be with us on the program tomorrow. All right, coming up, Tony Segreto. As soon as I turn on their game, though, boom, they go down in flames there in a desperation, buzzer-beating pair of free throws. We're coming back with Tony here on Ion Channel. And once again, Gulfstream Park, the championship meet is on. Great stuff. I was out there on Saturday. Really enjoyed it. They set up the South Tiki Bar now.
Nice.
Something at the North Tiki Bar. The South Tiki Bar is really a great place to hang out. Almost feel like you're at the beach. Great atmosphere. You're outside. You don't have to worry about any schmendrick breathing in your face and going, "Come on with that 2." Right? So when they're rooting for the 2, that the spit really comes flying, isn't it? Come on with that 2. It's like, buddy, I mean, I don't need to know what you had for breakfast, man, and I certainly don't want to wear it on my eyeball, especially with COVID. But no, none of that at the outside Tiki Bar there. Just absolutely fantastic. Of course, the breezeway was open, and it was a nice crowd there, but not so crowded that you didn't feel safe and comfortable at Gulfstream Park. So check it out. Racing cranking up again tomorrow. Championship meet is on. And they may be racing today. I'm going to have to check my calendar here because I think they might have expanded to the 5-day week. Always good stuff happening at Gulfstream Park. All right, we're coming back with Tony Segreto, going old school with Tony here in just a moment on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz on Ion Channel. Google the Defo Show if you want to find this audio and video streaming all around the world. And back in a moment. Now that.
The time.
We're watching in Wyoming. Thank you for tuning in. It's right around 8 o'clock. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Grass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant and feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time? When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Hey, it's Mike Mayo for Even Keel Fish Shack, corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard at Lauderdale by the Sea. It's my favorite place now for great seafood in a casual beachfront setting. They got happy hour 4 to 7 Monday through Friday. They got great dishes like grilled oysters and oysters on the half shell, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, octopus. They also have burgers and chicken for those who don't like the seafood. They're open 7 days a week for a lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack. Go say hi to Dave and Brad and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee, give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone? You can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side.
Buy or lease a house and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
I thought briefly there you were playing a clip, Mike Lubitz, of the offensive line coach of the Dolphins snorting cocaine there. As we heard all of the gesticulations and gyrations of one Tony Segreto as he was getting ready to come on the show. Are you all right, Tony? Do you need a standing 8 count before you come on?
Well, I don't even know what you're talking about. There was nothing. I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, no, we heard you blowing your nose and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I know it's. I mean, you're still in Vermont, supposedly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's fucking freezing there, right?
Yeah. I said
there's no better way to describe
it. Was like one.
It's fucking freezing.
Like
yeah.
No, it was. I think it was -8 when I said it to you yesterday. Something like that. Yeah.
Oh my God! All right, Tony Segreto.
We're great. We're great. It's a beautiful. Defo. You're from up here, so you get it. It's one of those things where the sun is shining, the sky is blue. It's just gorgeous outside. And then you walk outside and you realize, wait a minute,
it's
like 5 below zero.
No, I saw a temperature in Burlington was like -10. And they were talking about how people were getting frostbite while indoors.
Well,
with their hands hovering over a fire. So I was worried about you. I didn't know you were still up there, right?
Yeah.
Tony Segreto going to go old school with us here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz on the Island Channel. And Tony always brought to you every week by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and also Catholic Health Services. Nice little tribute here from a gentleman who comes in on our chat line, Tony. I don't know if you have that up on your computer, but a gentleman named Big Possum said went to Texas Roadhouse, had a wonderful time. So he just wanted you to know that he took your recommendation and turned out to be very pleasant. An aside here, too, because I don't know, are you familiar with a performer called Kodak Black?
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's a rap star.
Yes, he's
Did
a rapper.
you see this video that's circulating? I just got sent a text from the great Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. And apparently this guy is like getting it on with somebody in the stands. I'm talking about having sex in the stands at a Florida Panther game. You talk about an electrifying atmosphere. I know they're winning like crazy. They're like 19-3 at home, but and I didn't get a chance to check out the video because we're on the show here. But
it looks like he's going full blown, and he's in one of the suites. And at the Panther game, the suites are like low enough and they're open,
yes,
so you can see everything.
So this guy's pounding, away on the couch at an executive suite. I mean, imagine you have the suite for the next game. You're just hoping the cleaning crew is on its toes that day. But apparently, the guy's like having sex at a Panther game. So I don't know if you knew anything or had any inside information on it.
I was not given any inside information on that particular story.
All right, I know you didn't want to start there, Tony, but I couldn't help but mention it because everybody's talking about this.
To deflect it.
Yeah, it's one of those pop culture things, and I don't know. I mean, I guess you can have both disdain and respect for the move. Because, it's always great to be a little bit adventurous when it comes to sexual activity. I don't know whether you want to do it in a, that kind of public setting. Maybe in an empty church or something, or at shul.
But doesn't that take adventure to like a whole new level? That's not just adventure. That's like,
Yeah.
let's. I don't even know how
you
to
get
describe-
arrested for this sort of thing.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
believe, if they were paying
or
any
banned
attention.
from coming back
Yeah.
to a game. Yeah. What
If you're wearing Kodak Black, I mean, there's a possibility that security takes a very dim view of your behavior when everybody can see it, including now the video that's circulating all over the world. All right, you want to start with the college game, Tony, or the Dolphins'
whatever
ugliness?
you like.
What do you think?
Well, how long? It can't take long for the Dolphins' ugliness, so we could probably do it the last 30 seconds of the show. I mean, really.
Yeah, well, what did you make of that? I mean, you've been around. Here's what I was thinking, Tony.
I was actually
said this.
surprised. I was
No,
surprised.
I was saying yesterday, when Shula was the man, right? And you used to go to some of those, deals at St. Thomas where you'd sit down with Shula. When I first moved here, and this was the experience. I mean, the last coach I'd covered was Ray Malavasi with the Rams. I mean, he wasn't sitting down and having lunch with a bunch of reporters. And here's the iconic Don Shula. He's the face of the franchise. He's the authoritarian over the franchise.
He is the
franchise. And he's shooting a breeze with a bunch of reporters. And you're looking at this guy going, wow. I mean, if that doesn't represent stability, nothing does. I mean, the security with which he was approaching the job. And now in the last, 15, 20 years, since Shula's departure, I mean, you had Jimmy there, but I guess after a while he realized that he could have more fun doing something else. And then it's been kind of a series of sending the clowns where nobody is stuck. And the instability of the organization continues to grow exponentially. And here we have it again, where you had a guy that actually won with a bunch of schleps and NFL bag ladies. He's gone now because supposedly, I don't know what you know about this story, Tony, but most people are saying that he became like an authoritarian nutbag and just wanted total reign over the organization no matter what they did to capitulate to his demands.
I don't know about that, but I can tell you this, that the football people that I have spoken with within the organization, like real football people within the organization, thought he was the real deal. And I have great respect for those people inside the organization who are real football folks who say to you, listen, we finally have ourselves a coach. I think that ineptitude begets ineptitude. So the more coaches we let go, the more coaches will go through, because it's not a quick fix. There was a great article in the New York Times the other day about the Dolphins and the Giants, and saying to the effect, like, what makes you believe they're going to change now? What makes you think they're going to get successful now? The history is 3 years and out. I mean, think about that. Whether it was Wanstadt, whether it was Sperano, whether it was Philbin, go down the list.
Coco Cameron, man, he only lasted one.
Yeah. And it's either a year or 3 years and out, and we're going to change again, and we're going to change again, which means we have to establish a new culture. We have to bring in our guys. And I get the free agency, you're going to, mix and match, but we're so far beyond the one piece of the puzzle that makes us great, or two pieces of the puzzle. We need the whole darn puzzle. And I think that, Coach Flores was saddled with, with a quarterback that, I mean, you label it like you want it. Is he average, below average? There were times when he was brilliant, and there were times when you just put your head in your hand, shaking your head, going, what in the world was he thinking? I will say this in defense of Coach Flores, and I'm not saying what they did was right or wrong. My sense was I was surprised. But when they were on that losing streak, this team could have folded its tents. They could have cashed it out, sent it in, screw it. I am not going to get myself injured. I'm going to go out there and play. But if I see I'm in a situation, I'm not going to worry about it because we're already gone. But he rallied this team. They win 7. They're somewhat in it. They cause some sort of buzz in the community, even if it was just a little hum. And I give them credit for keeping the ship afloat when it could have sunk real easily. And I thought to at least give him another year and let's see what we can do. Maybe another change should have been made, and maybe it shouldn't have been him. Maybe it should have been the man above him. Well,
I mean, that would be the common wisdom, and Lubie's been professing this forever, and we did see other GMs go by the wayside with their coaches in Chicago and in Minnesota, where, in Minnesota, Spielman had some success, and it wasn't like Zimmer, was a loser. I mean, he had a 72-56 record, not not horrible by any standards. But here, I mean, the word seemed to be, and I don't know that anybody really was saying this. I guess it would be surfacing inside the organization that Chris Greer, whose head Lubie has been calling for the last several seasons,
2 years, yeah, at least 2 years.
that he really had little to do with this, and that they had capitulated almost all authority on personnel decisions and virtually everything else to Flores by his demand, and that he was becoming even more demanding to the point where Stephen Ross finally just said, "Hey, look, we can't handle it. We can't have one renegade guy running the team, because if he was in charge of personnel decisions, then he made several serious blunders in addition to the few, good choices that he had made maybe in the later rounds of the draft."
Absolutely. But do we know that as a fact? I don't know that as a fact. Do you?
It sounds logical, though, in the way that, and the
Well,
sense
it
that, as
sounds
you
logical,
said,
yeah.
I mean, as a coach, they handed this guy that first year a bunch of bag ladies, and again, he rallied them from the grave and won 5 out of 9 at the end of the year, including a stirring win at the closeout of the season there, right against the Patriots. And then, he comes close to making the playoffs the next year when nobody knew what was going to happen. And comes back, they shift directions again, get rid of all of the free agents they signed the year before, and, come with a whole new bag of personnel, and they get off to this horrible start. And then he rallies them again. So, you couldn't possibly not respect the coaching job the guy was doing. And yet they were more than happy to get rid of him. I mean, it didn't seem like it upset too many people except the fans and the media.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything from the players. Listen, all I'm saying is from the outside and from the from a coaching standpoint, whether or not the other thing happened, I've heard those rumors too. But again, how many times have we been around situations like this where rumors just start to fly?
Yep.
Some of which are true and some of which are false. So, and somewhere in the middle lies the truth. There could have been a power struggle. There could have been between Greer and Flores. There could have been all of these different things. All I know is this: we are back to not only where we were before, but in a worse spot than where we were before. Correct? I mean, at least
I'm not sure about that. I mean, it just seems like they've been hanging there. This is what they wanted to get away from, being 9-8.
Well, exactly. Well, that's the point. At least when we were 8-8 or 9-8 before, right? We had some draft picks.
Yes.
What do we have left?
Use them all.
I mean, we have you, me, and Lubie.
No, I mean, they still have
position you want to play.
They have plenty of draft picks available to them and a lot of capital in free agency. They don't seem to have any. If Chris Greer wasn't doing anything and had given all of his authority, deflected it all over to Flores in terms of personnel decisions, and I had this vision as you were speaking of Chris Greer screaming, "Herbert, Herbert!" Which is, in everybody's estimation except Lubie's, an organizational catastrophe, the kind of which sets the team back like light years. When you went for Tua over this guy Herbert, who, if you watched that last game, I don't know if you were up for that last game. I mean, it was sensational because, as you alerted me, the fluke situation looked like it was going to happen, where Jacksonville wins in impossible circumstances.
And then you and I are both up late watching the Raiders.
And it was a great game. It was one of the most entertaining football games, especially because the tie was hanging in the balance with so much meaning riding on it.
Right there.
It was as good a final week of the NFL season as I have seen.
Yeah,
it was
great.
Really as good as I have ever seen. And now you look forward to the playoffs, especially with these young quarterbacks. And then, come on, you look at yourself. And I was saying, I know we have draft picks, but we had a multitude of picks before. We had a multitude. I don't know. It's just here's the bottom line. What makes us believe, as fans, as people who have followed this team for decades, what makes us believe anything is going to change?
Oh, nothing.
Not much now. I mean,
it's what they do every time.
You're looking at dead weight in the front office. If Chris Greer was doing nothing, then what's he doing there, period? I mean, is he just there to greet people when they come into the suite when Stephen Ross is watching a game with his henchmen there? You've had the same people kind of, giving condolences more or less to Stephen Ross after every ball game, and trying to encourage him that, it's going to be okay, right? I mean, you see, even Danny Boy has had to relegate himself to the gratuitous, it ain't so bad, Steve. We're going to be all right. But, the organization doesn't seem to have anybody that really has authority in there that is of the mindset that you respect enough to say, okay, that guy can turn it around. We thought that of the tuna, though. Remember? I mean, how wrong were we about that?
Yeah, but he was done too.
Well, again, he was collecting a check then.
Yeah, he was done.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I think he was betting it at Gulfstream.
Yeah, exactly.
He may have been.
Sure.
Yeah, he may have been. But I don't think that he was. His reputation preceded him, and I think the reputation helped him get what he got. But I don't know how much he actually put into it. And this is no disrespect. I mean, after a while, you get tired, and you wind up, okay, it sounds great. I'm going to get paid a lot of money. I'm going to get in this position. Then you find out, I don't know if I really want to do this now.
Yeah.
So I listen, as someone who has followed this team his entire life, it's upsetting to me. It's depressing to me. And I hate to say what I say, but I have to face some realities here. And some of those realities are what makes me believe that things are going to change. I can hope they will. And I pray that they will. And, I know the fans do. Let me ask you this. We're going to go back to what we talked about last week. If you're trying to sell tickets over the phone to a corporation, to a company who's, owns a suite or whatever, how do you posture this? How do you posture it?
Well, I mean, we got a whole new regime coming in there, and everything's going to be great. It's going to get rosy. Tua is going to blossom into the quarterback that we all expected him to be when we took him number 5 over Justin Herbert, who in that ballgame, Tony, I mean, and Lubie, you can deny this to your grave and make all your little excuses about, well, he doesn't have an offensive line, he doesn't have receiving. A lot of that may be true. But sometimes you just have to, look and see the obvious, which is the one guy's got a monster arm, man. When he rifled that last touchdown pass in there and it took the game into overtime, in between two guys that are standing right next to his receiver from 30 yards out, and it's a bullet, and it gets there in like a half a second, and you're thinking, wow, first of all, had the balls to make that pass, then the accuracy, and he's doing this while he's shrugging off like 6 guys that are draped around his ankles. It looked like the Alonzo Mourning Larry Johnson fight with Jeff Van Gundy around the guy's ankles, and he still fires the rock in there for a touchdown. That's a pro quarterback.
And you know what that's like? It's sort of like 3-2, bottom of the ninth. This is for the World Series title. You got the great reliever on the mound. The catcher comes out and says, "I don't care what you do, rear back and just let it rip." And that's exactly what Herbert did on that. It was like, okay, I'm just going to let this thing fly. And you're right. That was a rope. That was an absolute rope.
And he had done it several times on 4th down situations during that last-minute drive, which was as improbable as any. And you could see that was him. That was pretty much all him making that happen. And that's what you need from a quarterback. And I don't know that we've seen that from Tua, although I'm with the rest of the crowd there. I really love the kid.
I do too.
Wish him all the best. If he becomes a stud quarterback for the Dolphins, I'd be as happy as anybody. I don't know that we've seen enough evidence that that's going to be the case. Maybe he goes somewhere else and blossoms. It's possible. I didn't think Jalen Hurts would be much of a quarterback in the NFL, and yet he somehow has powered Philadelphia into a playoff spot.
But look at Tannehill. Oh, my goodness. Was he just absolute out of sight on Sunday? He was incredible.
Don't mention that to Libby either. Yeah. Don't mention it.
I know. All right, listen. We have. I think we have Ed Garcia on the phone.
Oh, good, excellent, man.
Since you've been ignoring the private chat from Louie, I figured I'd let you know.
No, I'm glad because you know what? The way I'm set up here, if I'm looking at this camera, then I don't see anything that's going on.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, you have a professional setup there? You have camera.
Well, we improved, I think, immensely. Although I haven't heard anything from Jack yet. I'm not sure what his final signature will be on this. But no, it seems like a radical improvement. The overall look of where I'm broadcasting from now.
You look like you're 18, 20 years old. I mean, it's fabulous.
I aged 20 years while I'm sitting in this chair in the last hour and change. What are you talking about? It's like, where's the money going to come from? Yeah. Well, a lot of it, Ed Garcia, faithful sponsor of the show. He's fantastic.
Texas Roadhouse. Ed, good morning. How are you, buddy?
Good morning. How are you guys today?
We are doing absolutely fabulous. How is everything at Texas Roadhouse as we, we're into the new year pretty well now. We're going to week 3. Omicron seems to be getting a little bit more intense. Tell me how you are handling things again at the Texas Roadhouse. I know what we did before, when this first hit, the protocol that we had there was, absolutely beyond reproach. And I can't imagine that it's anything less than that. And it's probably even better as we head into this third week of the new year.
Well, there's definitely a lot of wins when it comes to safety when you come to Texas Roadhouse. We have basically a sanitation coordinator, and we spray that coordinator goes around and sprays all those high touch traffic areas. We use really state-of-the-art chemicals to make sure that we provide a safe environment. We also spray the restaurant down once a day with these new electronic sprayers that are absolutely awesome. And then one of the cool features is that we have that mobile app. So that way you don't have to walk in and wait in a big lobby with a whole bunch of crowded people. You can use the mobile app, put your name on the wait list. We text you, hey, your table's ready. Gather your party, come on in. Choose to come in, go right to your table. We still also have the partitions between our booths. And, we provide just a really, really awesome, great environment for everybody.
I have to say that the environment for someone who, like myself, who's really, I do everything I can, like I know Lubie and Defo do, to stay safe and clean, and we hand washing, all of that. If there is one place that I would feel safe, that I feel safe in, is Texas Roadhouse. Is the way you do business. And I know your business everybody's business has been impacted, but Texas Roadhouse has been thriving through this. Not to mention how you've been able to pivot from the mobile app to takeout to what you did for the butcher shop and the farmers market, and all of that continues, correct?
Oh, absolutely. We're very, very thankful for our guests. I think that we stood by definitely, when the restaurants and the doors were closed down, and we did all those carryouts, and we're still doing a lot of carryouts. And we're seeing a big uptick right now with people ordering to go and everything else because, hey, they can eat at home. And, it provides a safe environment. So we have some really cool options as well. You can use the mobile app to place your carryout order, but, just to provide that environment if you don't want to go into the restaurant. But yes, the business is booming. We're very, very thankful. And I think it just, falls down to, we make everything from scratch. Our people, they just love taking care of our guests. So, and it just creates an awesome environment.
Well, Ed, I think Defo has something to tell you real quick. The note we got this morning, it just goes a long way to tell you that people are listening to what we're telling them, and they are taking advantage of Texas Roadhouse. Defo, tell them what we got this morning.
Yeah, this is great on our chat line here, Ed Garcia, and I saw this early this morning. A guy named Big Possum, big fan of the show, and it does sound like an Alabama fan. Big Possum actually sounds like one of their major boosters, probably saving a lot of money. He says, went to Texas Roadhouse in Naples on Sunday. We had a great time. And gave it a ringing endorsement. Your fans are out there. They're coming in. They're realizing, hey, Tony, look, it doesn't take a mathematician to figure out. You get a delicious, we're talking about a delicious steak dinner or lunch, and then you get the tab, and it's like minuscule compared to anywhere else where food costs are skyrocketing. And we applaud you at Texas Roadhouse for the great job you're doing. And I guess we should ask, is Jim Harbaugh going to the Dolphins or the Giants?
I don't know. He made that comment right there at the end that he is not done. This is the start of a legacy. He really had a really awesome year in recruiting as well. So I think that the future for Michigan looks really, really bright. But I think any smart businessman, you should always entertain all the opportunities, but go where your heart tells you. And, I hope that he continues to build the program and at University of Michigan. But at the same time, entertain those offers, take a look at it, and we'll see. I don't know, Mr. Ross was talking about, hey, we don't want Jim, even though, he's a UM guy as well. But, the Raiders in Chicago, they're also they're looking as well. There's a couple of people out there looking. You never know. But we'll see. My fingers crossed he continues with the Michigan program.
Well, you continue. Go ahead, Tony.
And now, as you well know, the more you deny, the more the more you deny, the more you sound like you're going to bring them in.
I thought that deal was signed at the Orange Bowl. Yeah. I thought maybe they went to a Texas Roadhouse here in town, Ross and Harbaugh, and I already had the deal. And I was waiting for that announcement to come after the word came down that Flores had been fired. Ed, always a pleasure, man. Thanks so much for your support of the program and being always so gracious with us. And we really appreciate it. And thanks so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate
it.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ed.
He didn't hesitate on that Harbaugh thing, man. He did not hold back. Now, Tony, did you not think, Mr. Orange Bowl, did you not think that a deal was signed? When I heard that Flores was fired, first I didn't believe it. I thought my friend was pulling my chain. Okay,
I thought after the announcement, I thought within 1 minute they would announce the new coach.
Like he was already there. You know what I mean? Like he was going to be at the press conference with Stephen Ross, just like Wannstedt was when Jimmy, decided he was going to come back and coach for one more year after resigning. One of the more bizarre Dolphin incidents of all time. I remember being and covering that thing. I'm sure you were there.
With the helicopter coming in, we're going to get one guy out, one guy in. Listen.
Wannstedt didn't even have time to get dressed. Like he was wearing like a T-shirt. Went to this press conference.
Exactly. Let's count it up, Lubie. How many teams in the NFL now are without coaches, and how many teams are with coaches?
Seven without coaches. Although this Bisaccia guy, I think, becomes an interim guy that ends up getting a job. All right, we have to run. Coming back with more. Thanks to Ed Garcia, Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, for their fine support of Old School with Tony Segreto.
Sir.
I'm Jeff Deforrest, a freezing but hiding it very well, concealing it extremely well.
It's not
Tony
not
Segreto,
freezing.
are
It's
you
a
sitting on a hot
beautiful-
plate or something? I mean, you have to be doing something to keep your ass warm there in Vermont. What are you talking about?
You make things up.
I've been cold, Tony, and that's why I moved here to Florida. I've been cold.
I embrace the cold. I love the cold. What is the face, Lubie?
No.
Yeah,
The cold's good for
you're gone, Tony. I mean, we're worried about your mental state now.
I love you, but that's
You're
insane.
making these bizarre statements. You're
We were in
starting to talk in
Minnesota.
tongues.
We were running into stores. We didn't even want to buy anything just because it was like negative. If it says negative and then a number after it, that's insane.
Yeah.
It's not normal.
Negative is ugly, man. I use it as an excuse to not go to a lot of final exams at Syracuse.
I'm sure you did.
It's just too cold, and my body thermal temperatures can't take it. My immune system is down. All right, so we're coming back with more with Tony Segreto. And once again, we want to remind everybody about Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I hope you can make it down there for that one. Tony, we're going to have the date. I think we're going to do it after the football season because Jimmy's going to be busy with Fox, and we want to make sure that he's there on a Monday, nice, relaxed atmosphere, not maybe having just come back off of like some kind of red-eye flight, although maybe private jet when it comes to the Jimmer. And you're going to feel like you're very, very much in elite company, and yet in the most relaxed atmosphere possible at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway. Fantastic. Now, for the playoffs, they remodeled the sports bar, and they really know. I mean, they're very much in tune with what the sports fan wants. So that's a dynamite place in the Keys to watch all the games as they come up Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday night, the first week of the wild card session for the NFL postseason. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill should be a destination that you've circled somewhere on your itinerary to take in all the games and then taking in the atmosphere there while Tony's freezing his ass off in Vermont. You can be chilling with a cocktail. I like a little pina colada when I get down there right away with a little extra rum floater there, Tony. I don't usually drink that kind of drink, but when you're in the atmosphere, when in Rome, and that's what happens at Jimmy Johnson's Big
Absolutely.
Chill. Mile marker 104, Overseas Highway. They have accommodations there if you're from out of town, out of the country even, and you want to stay just in an absolutely pristine, an accommodation arrangement that you can't even imagine takes place in the Keys unless you were like in a suite at the Ocean Reef Club. Even that doesn't rival what they have at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. So check that out at jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com. The accommodations are really, really just absolutely elegant.
Listen.
Yes.
Anything Jimmy puts his name to,
he's not fooling around.
Class. It's going to be first class. And because Jimmy's involved, I think that, I haven't seen it yet, and I look forward to it.
You have to get down there, Tone.
Come and get down there, especially with you guys. I think it'd be great. And I have a great respect for how they do business and what they do. So if Jimmy and the Congemies are involved, it's going to be first class.
Yes, sir.
You know what's even worth the trip down to the Keys, Tony, even from Vermont, if you got in a car right now, is watching Lubie slobber down that Italian fisherman pizza. Eating like he was going to the chair. I mean, just unbelievable.
What is that pizza? Explain
like seafood on it. It's ridiculous.
Like fresh seafood right out of the bay, man. Like a fisherman rolls up and that scallop.
Around.
That scallop is on your pizza, man. I mean, it's got lobster and scallops and shrimp and calamari, and I mean, it literally is sick. I had the thing for like 3 days while I was there. All 3 days was in the fridge, like one slice a day, and boom, Just absolutely dynamite. No, it's a great place. All right, we're coming back with more with Tony at the college football game. Were you on the Georgia side there? Or what were you getting? Like you were probably only giving up 1 point, maybe even getting points. That Fugazi bookmaker of yours.
Compared to what we saw with the semifinals in terms of runaways, this was great. This was a great game. I enjoyed this one. It was fun to watch.
It was interesting, especially when our don't bet against the devil theory was very much in play at 18-13, an oddball score. But it seemed like Alabama had just enough momentum at that point, to go ahead and maybe prevail. Certainly not lose to the point spread, but then things fell apart. 2 great passes by that guy.
Yeah, Georgia imposed their will the last 7 minutes of the game. That's exactly what happened. They just imposed their will. And I'll throw this at you. What a great story yesterday. How for those of you who used to watch Friday Night Lights, the television episodes of Friday Night Lights, they compared the young man, the quarterback for Georgia, the real Matt Saracen, and because of the story that was involved. So I just thought the whole thing was terrific. It really
Stetson
was.
Bennett, his name. Walk on a real Cinderella story there, and Horatio Alger type of stuff. All right, more with Tony coming up here on Old School with Tony Segreto. Also brought to you by Catholic Health Services. We'll talk more about them in just a few minutes. Fine organization. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He is Mike Lubitz, and we'll be back with more here on ION Channel. And you can Google the Defo Show, catch the video stream. Tony looks great there in Vermont, even though we know he's freezing secretly. Do you have like a giant?
Stop lying.
Do you have one of those oil bins with a fire in it, like you used to have, like in New York on the streets there? You see a bunch of bums gathered around. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
I didn't mean to imply that they were bums. Certain people that were out there on the streets. It's 8:34.
Hey there, it's Mike Mayo. Do you like steaks? Do you like seafood? Do you like classic old Florida charm? You could get that all and more at Tropical Acres Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. It's at 2500 Griffin Road in Dania, just west of 95. The Studiali family, they've been running the place a long time. It's been there more than 70 years. And it is now a place you can get early bird specials along with steaks to take home and throw on the grill yourself at the Butcher Shop. That's open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. It's open for dinner every night starting at 4:30, but they are closed on Sundays. Go to Tropical Acres. It's a place to go for a great meal, great people, good value. Tropical Acres.
The championship meet is right around the corner at Gulfstream Park. The only place for live racing, Gulfstream's action has never been hotter. Whether it's on the track, in the casino, or part of the dining and entertainment offered at the Village of Gulfstream Park. Currently running Thursday through Sunday, Gulfstream's racing package is the best in the country, with all the top horses and people in the game pointing towards another tremendous winter season. Check out the remodeled first floor casino, open 7 days and nights a week, along with the many special events and concerts happening at Gulfstream Park. You can place your wagers from anywhere at firstbet.com. Check the calendar of events at gulfstreampark.com.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat. 24/7, Catholic Health Services.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. We've finally found some fulfillment here on this program as we're sending 2 families to professional wrestling, and we had that kid skip school to get the tickets to the Dolphin game. We feel like we're reaching a measure of distinction here. Now, there's no more distinguished guy in South Florida broadcasting history than the man who joins us next, and that is Tony Segreto. We go old school with Tony Segreto.
He makes charitable work, his life work, so he's mocking us now for what we are proud of, our endeavor.
I am not mocking. I am not. I'm not mocking you. I just don't even know how to respond to that because I would not have expected anything less than that kind of intro today. When I heard that gentleman win the tickets to the wrestling and he's taking his children, I saw the wheels. I saw the comedy writer in Defo's head, like trying to write as fast as he could, just to figure out what's next.
I have to write everything down now, Tony, because I can't remember my own name. It's written here on a sheet, the Defo Show.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto.
Welcome back to the show on this fine Wednesday as we originate from all parts of the globe here. Lubie and I in South Florida and different locations, and Tony Segreto in the freezing confines of Vermont, although looking very safe and secure in your indoor setting there, and just like 0.0 degrees outside, maybe even less. All right.
Actually, when I came down to the studio this morning here, it was.
Do you have to go outside to go to the bathroom there in that cabinet?
Yeah, we have an outhouse, but it's right outside the door.
You really do have an outhouse? Are you kidding me?
That's what do you think? We have a real
bathroom? Mansion. What are you talking about?
You can have a bathroom.
He's living better than the guys that own the ski resorts. I mean,
listen. When we bought this place, we bought this our place here 31 years ago.
Oh wow!
Get out of here! Had to be dirt cheap. Yeah,
and it was our cabin was built in like the late 30s.
Oh Jesus!
And in the woods here, in the woods of the property.
Abe Lincoln have a hand in this thing?
Yeah,
the construction.
In the woods that we own the property is an outhouse. I don't know whoever.
Oh yeah, nice.
But it's there. So my wife goes, "Are you going to take it down?" I go, "Why? Are you kidding? It's like
what
a
luxury.
Story. Yeah, it will be a story. It'll be when people come to visit us for the first time, we'll tell them that's our spare bathroom.
That's the guest bathroom. There you go. There it is. There are towels in the closet. Just bring some out there and wear your snowshoes. All right, Tony, and we love to tease you about the sanctimonious BS that surrounds college football because you have a tendency to kind of proliferate the dream.
I am your punching bag.
Even you had to get a kick out of this surrounding the championship game. My favorite aspect of it was the whining and complaining that both Nick Saban and Kirby Smart were doing about how name, image, and licensing chaos will be the ruination of the game and only make it more difficult for the have-nots, of which neither of those guys qualify in that category. Make it more difficult for almost everybody else besides Alabama and Georgia and Notre Dame and maybe Ohio State and USC and Texas A&M and any SEC school that has boosters, that it's going to be, nearly impossible for anybody else to surface into the picture. I mean, how much do you doubt the sincerity of Saban and Smart? They, in theory, may have been talking about something hypothetically that they believe to be true, but let's face it. Who's embracing this system more than those two guys right now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And here's the other thing. I would say this. Do you think that going to play for Deion Sanders doesn't have anything to do with him saying, listen, I got contacts all over this country. They love me. I'm with this company. I'm with that company. We can get you a great endorsement. You don't think that played a role?
100%
in the recruiting.
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, you got like some 17-year-old pimple-faced kid, and he's endorsing Ciroc vodka because of Deion's relationship with like P. Diddy. I mean, what the hell?
Absolutely.
That's college football today. Never mind Newt Rockne going out there and saying, "Hey, kid, we can make you a man."
This is all about that, man. And I'm telling you, I think that there's a little bit of truth in what they say. I mean, listen, if I'm a young man and this is again, Alabama's in it, Georgia's in it. Why would I not want to go to those schools to be in it, regardless of endorsements, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to wind up getting my deal somewhere along the line. But if I have Dion coming after me, or I have Patino in basketball coming after me, and I know that those guys are connected and can get me some endorsements, you don't think I'm going to go there? Absolutely, especially if I need to help support my family or whatever the case might be. I just think it's all I know is that at the end of the day, we need to expand. I know that they're what's going on now, because we can't keep having it was the second lowest rated college football championship game ever.
Oh, really?
And
you believe because of the rematch? I mean, in actuality, and Mike Mayo was complaining that and this is nitpicking at this point because of the way things are logistically and configured. You had probably, pretty much clear cut. I don't know if Alabama was that much better than a couple of other teams. Maybe they would have lost in a different matchup. To a team that was playing well that day. We saw them nearly get defeated a couple of times, but. You had the two top teams, even though Georgia didn't win their conference championship. You still were looking at the two top teams in the country going after each other with a lot of interesting storylines, including whether Alabama's, a sound thrashing of Georgia in the SEC title game was legit.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I found this game to be as intriguing as any game I've seen.
Who would you
before.
rather have seen?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was a rematch, but it was a rematch where you were saying, okay, do they have the ability to beat a team twice after 37 days? And does the other team have the ability to forget that, have a short memory, and create a situation where they're going to come out, victorious? Listen, I thought that after the game, Kirby Smart, his emotion was to me, so pure. He was so excited. It was so real that you could tell whether
you don't think it had anything to do with the $9 million bonus that he had in his package. Come on, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I'm gonna wind up. I need a shot of cynical.
He took his contract right out and gave it to the AD and said $9 million. We did it. 40 years. Hey, take that, Vince Dooley. By the way, is Vince Dooley still around, man? I mean,
he was there. He was at the game.
I know. This guy. What? I thought he was in his grave for
God
20 years
him,
already.
Man. God bless him. Yeah,
that was a highlight of the game for me. And I always loved the Bulldog. I mean, the Georgia Bulldog.
He was falling asleep at the game.
Well, so are a lot of people, according to your television ratings there, Tony. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't diminished at all because it was a rematch, in my estimation. In fact, that kind of made it more interesting.
I loved it.
Our good friend, and you were familiar with the great Burt Randolph Sugar, Burt Sugar, the boxing guy with the fedora and the cigar. And we loved him, and he became friendly with me over the years from different things that we had covered together, and we always hung out. And he had a theory about rematches in boxing, that usually the guy that won the first fight wins the second one even more convincingly. And so, that's also an interesting aspect because, a lot of people were theorizing, including the odds makers, that, well, Georgia will shake this thing off, and on balance, they're a better team. So they'll find a way to win this thing, thus the 2 and a hook. So you were on the side of Georgia? I'm sure you had a small wager, at least, on this game.
Yeah. I was able to get my car back.
Sounds good. All right, I wanted to touch on this. I know you probably knew this gentleman like I did because he was, and this struck me, and we mentioned this earlier, and that is at one time, I mean, there was a series, a lineage of like golf writers of some acclaim, a high level of acclaim at a local newspaper here in South Florida, and then the Miami Herald had Randall Mell, I believe, was writing golf there. He may have been with the Sun Sentinel, but I mean, you had any number of like accomplished golf writers as part of a sports staff, which now probably, if they put golf in the agate, that would be already, giving them massive amounts of publicity compared to what they usually do. And as Tim Rosafort was a real gentleman, and I have to say, as a newspaper guy that transitioned into TV, probably did it as well as anybody. I mean, the guy was really great at virtually everything he did, and meant a lot to the golf world. And he passed away, and I figured like I did, you probably knew him and were around him quite a bit when he was covering golf tournaments here.
Yeah, before he did it golf, he actually covered the Dolphins quite often. And
Okay, yeah.
what, to your point, he a true gentleman, a writer who had great respect for his job, and he had great respect for what we did from the TV side. There was a battle that the TV people had to have, of respect. It was a battle of respect from the newspaper guys, like, oh, okay, they got to run and get their makeup on and be on the TV.
Yeah, they thought you were an overpaid, schmink that
Exactly.
couldn't do half the job they did, and they had to go schlepping back. I was a newspaper guy.
So you needed to.
You had to pound out a story while Brent Musburger is having a martini with some babe.
So you needed to earn their respect, and I did my best, and the writers became some of my best friends, whether it was Mike Mayo, who I have a great respect for, or Dave Hyde, or Ed Pope, on and on and on. And
you and Pope were tight, man.
Yeah, and I think that and Tim was one of those guys who had great respect for what we did. He and I always had wonderful conversations, and to lose him at such a young age,
66,
such a talent, and just a good man, good human being. A gentleman that you liked being around. When you left his company, you felt better.
Well, he did a great job too. I mean, he had a terrific TV presence, and Lubie and I tend to be, and I would imagine you are maybe to a lesser extent because you're just a nicer guy. But I mean, we're highly critical of people that are in the business, same business that we are.
You guys critical? Cynical?
Yeah, but I mean, we're also highly respectful of guys that do it well, and this guy was great at what he did. He really was good. I mean, when he came on the tube, he spoke with authority. He was very convincing. He really knew his game. The statistics that he cited weren't just camouflage for the fact that he really didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, he was great.
Respected him. The players, the golfers themselves had a respect for him.
Yeah, he was good.
They trusted him, and I think that's. And what does that mean? What does trust mean from a player or an athlete to a reporter or a writer? What does
sometimes
that
it means you're a shill, but this guy wasn't.
Exactly. Sometimes it means you're a shill, but sometimes it means you're just straightforward with the guy. If he tells you, if an athlete tells you something is off the record and you hold it and you never put it on the record, that's trust. Right. That
could be the new name of our podcast, Off the Record. Yeah, because that's where most of our stuff is, because it's preposterous. Tony, I tell you what, trust is what it really takes in the healthcare business. And
I teed it up for you, Defo.
Yes, you did. And I'm about to send it right back to you here with a Long John Daily Drive. Just grip it and rip it, because I couldn't have any more respect than I do for Catholic Health Services. It really, you talk about getting emotional. I mean, I think about, I visualize a lot of stuff, and I see my mother in their last couple of days, and the care and the real sincere, just absolutely beautiful concern that the Catholic Health Services people had for everything to go right at a very difficult time. I mean, what was you can't measure this in price or any kind of hyperbole. It's always going to mean the world to me, and that's how they are with virtually everything. Whether you're repairing an injured hip, coming back from a stroke, or unfortunately, in this case, it was home hospice care.
Absolutely, and I think I want to say something for full disclosure for those listening, and you hear Defo do this week in and week out, and what it meant to him and his family, for his mother. It wasn't because his name is Jeff Deforrest and he comes from a radio, TV, streaming show that uses Catholic Health Services as a sponsor. They do this for everybody. Absolutely everybody. It doesn't matter, your name, what you do, where you're from, anything like that. And I'm going to tell you this. You can go to any rehab facility and get great machines, a good looking facility, people who are going to be good at what they do. But the sense of caring that you get at Catholic Health Services separates them from everybody else. They're human beings who have a human passion and compassion for not just the people going through the issue, whether it's a hip or whether it was hospice for your mom, whatever the case might be. But they also had that same feeling for the family, because it impacts the family. When that loved one of yours is in the rehab facility, the entire family is impacted for you name it, for whatever reason, whether it's going to pick up, whether it's learning, whatever the case might be. That's where Catholic Health Services excels, because they make sure that the family is involved every single step of the way. And as well as I do, when anyone in your family is ill or sick and they go see the doctor, how many of you want to know what's going on and what to expect? And that's what you get at Catholic Health Services. I can't express it enough for me, and the thankfulness that Defo and his family have for what they did for he and his mom. It's a remarkable place of great people with great passion, and they do it every day for everybody that comes in.
My brother, very discriminating when it comes to this sort of thing. I mean, and very cynical, said it was the best company he ever dealt with on any level in South Florida, especially when it came to this sort of stuff where you need information and you call the hospital and the doctor's not there and they tell you he's going to return your call. He never does. Then you call the next day, but there's somebody else assigned to the case. And you're like, what's going on here? I just want to know. And it was really a relief dealing with Catholic Health Services. Tremendous people. You're absolutely right about that, Tony Segreto. All right, we'll come back and wrap things up with Tony. Old School with Tony Segreto, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and the fine people at Catholic Health Services. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz. On Channel, the place you find us, audio and video streaming around the world. Jack says the set looks classy, the new set.
There you go.
You finally weighed in, man. Jack, I've been waiting for that comment. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Very insecure performance. It's 8:55.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant. And you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Hey, it's Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet here for my friends over at Shenanigans Sports Pub. It's a great place to go to take in a game, a good meal, and a couple of drinks. My friend Patrick, he's been doing it a long time, and he's got 2 locations. West Side is right across from TY Park in Hollywood. And then the East Side location is at 1300 South Federal Highway in Dania Beach. Shenanigans is the place for wings, burgers, barbecue, fresh fish, anything you want, drink specials, late night dining, outdoor dining. It is the place to go, family friendly. Go to Shenanigans and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. That could be another book that we put out. Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. The end is near. You can tell the end is near, man. That you could definitely do that.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. Only have about a minute left, so we want to throw two quick things at Tony Segreto, like one-word answers. Tony Segreto, who will be the next coach of the Miami Dolphins? One name. Next coach of the Dolphins, your opinion?
Mike Lubitz.
Mike Lubitz. Okay, well, he could probably do just about as good of a job. I think he could have lost those first 7 of those first 8 games.
Right.
I don't know if he could outdo Belichick. All right, that's one. Jim Harbaugh ends up where? Michigan or a pro job?
Michigan.
Stays at Michigan.
He stays at Michigan. Yeah.
All right.
I think he stays at Michigan unless. I think he stays at Michigan. I mean, it's got to be an amazing offer. I don't see. And as far as the Dolphins go, I really don't know where they're going. I can't imagine. My guess
don't
is
know where they're going.
It's going to be an assistant, something like, I don't know if it's going to be
Brian Daboll. I'm going to throw that guy out there and hope that they latch on to this guy, Brian Daboll, who is with the Buffalo Bills. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You might not want to work after working with Josh Allen with a guy that's like 5'6" and looks like he came out of a Volkswagen at the circus there. By comparison, with
his name is certainly his name is high on everybody's list. I mean,
everybody's looking at this guy too. Yeah. And Brian Flores, is he going to be in the pros next year as a head coach? Brian Flores.
No.
Yes or no? No.
He'll be in the pros, but not as a head coach.
Not as a head coach. Right. Tony, we love you, man. Even though you're freezing your fucking ass off there. I had to throw in another curse word because you are fucking freezing. I know that.
Stay warm.
I am not freezing. I am. Look at this. I'm as happy as can be.
Freezing. He's freezing, people.
No.
Freezing.
You know what?
I'm surprised your screen didn't freeze.
We love you.
Yeah, we love you, Tony, man.
Hey, listen. You know why you love me? Because if you didn't have me, you wouldn't have a punching bag, man. I am.
Really? I mean, you should be hanging from a chain from the ceiling. Yeah.
I am.
And okay, champ. 3 minutes on the bag. And then we'll get right back to sparring. All right. Tony, we love you, man. We'll talk to you again next week. Have a great week up there.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen. And wow, I mean, I have great respect for Tony, man. Putting up with that weather. Are you kidding me? And he loves it.
He actually does like it, and I give him credit. I can't handle that weather at all for more than like 15 minutes.
I thought I was in the opening scene of a British novel yesterday doing my walk of life here. It was like 72 degrees, and there was a little bit of rain.
68.
Dark clouds hovering over the ocean there as I'm walking up and down the beach road there, Ocean Boulevard. I mean, come on. And this guy. See, I've been cold. Syracuse is no easy place to navigate when it comes to temperatures. I mean, absurd temperatures there. Often listed, when you see the absurd temperatures around the country, there it is. Syracuse, New York is -7. So I'm used to cold, but I don't know that I need to be in it for an extended period of time. I don't know about you, Olivia. I'll take this all day long. All right, hope to see you guys at the beach here in South Florida sometime soon. Thanks for tuning in on Ion Channel. Always a pleasure. Tomorrow, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge with special guest Jim Larinaga, head coach of the University of Miami basketball team. Unfortunately, suffered a 1-point loss at the hands of Florida State last night. That made Lubie happy. It didn't help us. Which we were hoping to talk to Jim coming off another monumental win, which he nearly pulled out of the bag there with 7 seconds to go. This guy Moore hits a 3, and I'm thinking they're going to do it. Here's another brick at the buzzer, and the guy goes to the stripe instead and sinks 2. All right, we may have sunk our chances of making a score there with Jim Larinaga, but he'll still be very gracious, even in defeat. Hey, they'd won 9 in a row, and that was their first conference loss. So that'll happen tomorrow, along with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It was a pleasure being with you all morning long. Thanks to the people at Ion Channel, Jack, Amy, and the crew, Brad Schiller. And we'll see you tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. Eastern Time here on Ion Channel as we leave you now that. It's 9:02.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.